Okay, so here we are. Happy Monday, and also welcome to November. It's been a pretty amazing month for us here in Club Soda throughout October. We ran our global mindful drinking festival, and we wrapped it up just this last weekend. So before I get into what's going on this week, how to think about approaching November and how you can sustain change, just to kind of highlight some of the things that you might have missed over the last weekend and that you can still catch up on. So Friday night we had an amazing panel discussion on how to go out again. So if you've been basically hunkered down a bit, either because of the pandemic or because the thought of sober socializing was a bit too much for you, didn't know how to deal with it, you can get some really practical tips on how to build an amazing social life that doesn't revolve around drinking. And you can find that in our panel from Friday night. On Saturday morning, had this really amazing conversation about how your identity changes as you change your drinking. Really thoughtful panel discussion about shifting your identity away from being a drinker and then discovering the kind of person that you're becoming. And we had another panel on Saturday evening on how to make friends sober. So again, if your social life is feeling a bit thin on the ground and not really sure how to make friends if you're not doing that when you're drinking, do check out that panel discussion. And then yesterday I did a webinar on how you can sustain change, and I'll talk a bit more about that briefly, but just to say, if you didn't sign up for the festival, it's not too late. If you're on our mailing list, you would have got an email about this today. If not, if you go to joinclubsoda.com/festival, basically, we've created over 30 hours worth of video content about all sorts of different ways in which you might change your drinking, and you can find all of that right now for free. Basically, joinclubsoda.com/festival. Sign up and you can get all 30 hours worth of content or more completely free of charge. So please go and do that. We've created it as a way of supporting you to change your drinking however it is that you're doing that, and there is lots of amazing content from the whole month to dive into. If you want a flavor of what we've covered, we've just published a blog today. You'll find that at joinclubsoda.com with a roundup of everything that happened during the festival. So if you're not sure whether it's for you or not, check out the links in the bio, or if you're watching elsewhere, find us at joinclubsoda.com and read our latest blog. It's got a roundup basically of everything that we've been doing during October, and it's all available free, so please do dive in. What I really wanted to talk about today, though, was the business of how you can sustain change. It might be that you did a sober October, or maybe you had a sober-ish October, or maybe you are coming towards the end of a period of time that you decided, okay, I'm going to moderate my drinking for the next 90 days, or I'm going to be alcohol-free for the next 100 days. And coming towards the ending can be a difficult moment, I think, because we feel this sense of achievement, and then the day after, in all honesty, we feel a bit deflated and we're not quite sure what to do next. And it can leave us with all sorts of questions and concerns and just uncertainty. And so I just wanted to share 3 really simple tips. If you're at a transition point this morning, if you had a plan, if you got to the end of it, and if you've, whatever kind of success you had, whether it went brilliantly or not so brilliantly, but if you're facing a decision point about what comes next, I've just got 3 really simple tips for you about how you can sustain change. The first is, this is really important, is to remember what worked. So the way that our brains work is that we tend to, in our minds, we form memories around strong emotional experiences. And very often, if we're in the business of changing our drinking, our strongest memories are going to be the hangovers. They're going to be the moments where our drinking got out of hand. They're going to be the feelings of shame and disappointment that we felt in ourselves, that we messed up. There are going to be big emotional moments from the last period of change that you've had. And your mind is going to naturally, when you think back over that time, is going to naturally gravitate to those moments. And that isn't a fault in you. That's just the way all of our minds work. And so it's really important, if you're going to review what's happened and build on it for the next stage, rather than focusing on what went wrong, because you're going to naturally remember that really easily, focus instead on what went right. And so I want to encourage you, maybe if you took Sober October off, maybe if you had an intention to do Sober October, maybe it didn't go to plan, but whatever else happened, literally this morning, open your diary or your calendar and think through the month day by day. Get a good picture for yourself of what happened, where you were, who you were with, the days you drank, the days you didn't drink, and then begin to reflect on what worked, what went well. And it might be that those are really little things. They might not be big things, but actually that moment where instead of opening a bottle of wine at 6 o'clock in the morning, you called a friend, that is a moment to remember as something that absolutely worked. You know, if you did if you had Friday night takeaway with your partner and you didn't open a bottle of wine and they did, you know, that is a moment to look back and feel good about. So that's the first thing, is remember what worked. When we're changing, we can very often end up wrestling with ourselves, especially over the things which have gone wrong. But really, all of the positive change that we achieve comes because we get things right. So do focus on what worked. Remember what worked. That's the number one thing. Second thing to do is make a plan. Now, this is especially important if you've taken some time off drinking and you're thinking about reintroducing alcohol again. One of the things that I hear most frequently from people who've taken a month off drinking, say, or a period off drinking, who then start reintroducing alcohol again, is that they end up going to the pub, or they open a bottle of wine at home. They end up drinking more than they want to. And then they decide on the basis of that single experience that either there's something desperately wrong with them or that moderation doesn't work. And I need to tell you that neither of those things are true. The issue is simply that you didn't make a plan for what you wanted to happen. And this can equally happen, you know, if you're continuing to go alcohol free. You know, very often we can be tripped up by triggers in situations. We can find ourselves drinking in ways that we really don't want to, and that can take us by surprise. So whatever else you do, as you reach the end of a period of change, and as you contemplate what happens next, don't imagine that you can wing it, because I promise you that you can't. It really, really doesn't work. So whatever else you do, make a plan. You know, there will be a situation coming up today or tomorrow or at some point this week or at some point over the week where in the before times, before you started changing, where you would have ended up drinking more than you want to. And you're going to need a really solid plan, whether you're going to moderate on that situation or whether you're going to be alcohol free on that situation. Know what you're going to do in advance, know what you're going to drink, know where you're going, know who's going to be there, know what time of day it's going to happen. Really set yourself up with a solid plan. Be aware of your triggers and start planning for them. And please, whatever you do, don't take for granted that you can wing it. None of us ever change through wishful thinking. We change by making solid plans that we can stick to, learning from them if they don't work. And I guess that's the other thing to say. You know, if you're coming out of a period of not drinking and you're thinking about moderating, including alcohol consciously in your life, it's really important to remember that there's a whole set of skills in doing that you didn't know before your time off. You know, if you could do it, you would already have done it. So there's some learning to do. So whatever else you do over this next period of time, as you're making plans, you should. I'm not going to say that you should expect that it's not going to work, but don't be surprised if your plan doesn't work. It is a learning experience. If you could do it perfectly, you would already have been doing it. So, be prepared that as you embark on a period of change, that it is a learning experience, and set yourself up to expect that. It's not going to go perfectly every time. That's not to say you're going to throw your plan away the moment it starts going wrong. There's lots that you can do to get yourself back on track, even in a situation which isn't working. But make a plan and then be prepared to learn from it. And that actually kind of sets you up that whatever comes next is really an exploration and an experiment rather than a challenge. So approach it with that kind of spirit and attitude as an opportunity to learn and develop and grow. And then the final thing to say, if you are thinking about moving on from a period of being alcohol free and wondering what's next, is to ask for help. By watching this, you are part of the Club Soda community. We are active here on Instagram. We've got a big Facebook group. If you sign up to our courses, you get to chat with us on Telegram. There are lots of ways in which you can reach out to people who've been in the situation that you are, who might have some clues for you about what's going to work. Now, it's really important to say that all of our experiences are different. Nobody is going to be in exactly the same situation that you've been in. But all of us do have something to learn from listening to each other and sharing. You won't be the first person who's been worried about, I've got a party on Saturday night and I can't remember the last time I went to a party and didn't drink and I don't know what to do. Have you got any ideas? You're not going to be the first person by far in the Club Soda community who's asked that kind of question. And you will find that people in the community are really willing to share their experience, to ask you questions about what it is that you want to achieve and support you to change. So I really want to encourage you, if you're feeling stuck and you don't know really what you want to do, is to ask the question in the community, gather people's experience. Some of their advice won't work for you, some of it might, so you need to weigh up all of that you hear. But you can ask. And then the other thing to do is to talk about a more structured way of approaching change. So in Club Soda, we've got two in-depth courses, one called How to Stop Drinking, the other called How to Drink Mindfully. And each of these courses is designed to help you sustain change. So they've got 31 lessons that you take at your own pace so that you can build on what you learn, you can capture your experience, and that you can really embed a way of drinking, a relationship with alcohol that absolutely works for you. So do check those out. The other thing that's coming up on the horizon, again, if you've just been through Sober October, looking ahead, you might be worried about the holiday season. Maybe you're worried about Thanksgiving or Christmas or something that's coming up over the horizon, is to say that we do have a course called Christmas with Club Soda. It kicks off on the 27th of November, but you can sign up for it right now. And then we'll take you literally step by step through the holiday season from the 27th of November through to the 1st of January 2022. Can you believe it? How does time fly? But do check that out. It's live on our website right now. You can get that introduction. And yeah, so do sign up for that. A question that's come through, which I'll just tackle. Somebody said, I find it hard in situations. I was sober for 2 months, recently fell off the wagon, thought a low percentage lager would be fine, but that went straight to my head, and it led on to longer drinking. And once I start, I don't seem to have a off button. How would you recommend dealing with situations like pub with friends or a football match? Okay, so some really simple things to say. If you've taken any period of time off drinking, your tolerance for alcohol will have reduced. So this is a really cautionary tale for anyone who's gone, brilliant, I did Sober October, back to drinking today, is take it slowly. You cannot drink at the volume that you did before. Your body just won't handle it. So that may be something that's going on for this person. Even a low strength lager is going to have a stronger effect than you think it will. The other thing which I would always say is that in any situation, if you are thinking about including alcohol, is to have your first 2 drinks as alcohol free in any situation. And that will do a couple of things for you. One is it sets up a mental expectation that an alcohol free drink is a real drink. The classic advice on alternating drinks is that you should have an alcoholic drink, then an alcohol-free drink. And actually what that says to your brain is, I'm having a real drink, than a substitute. But if you have 2 alcohol-free drinks first, you set up a different expectation in your mind. So always, I would say, even if you're planning to go out and you're planning to drink, always have 2 alcohol-free drinks first. It gives you time to settle in, to see the lie of the land. And particularly as a beer drinker, there are very good alcohol-free beers. You might even find them on draft as well, so that you can stand around with your mates with a pint in hand, just like anyone else. So do consider that 2 alcohol-free drinks first. The other is then is to actually notice this business of an off button. Sometimes when we talk about an off button, actually what we're talking about is that really if you observe your behavior is you're a person who drinks really quickly. And then because that alcohol has a rapid effect on you, you're not calibrating your response about when to decide to have another drink and whether that's going to work. And so I'm just going to really encourage you, if you are thinking about drinking and that isn't working for you and you are finding yourself before you decide that you don't have an off switch, is to consider whether actually you're just somebody who drinks really quickly. And actually learning to slow down is a key skill to learn if you want to include alcohol consciously in your life. It's not easy. You may decide, actually, you know what? All things considered, if I'm in a social environment, it's just safe for me not to drink at all, in which case pursue that as an option. Once you've had 2 alcohol-free drinks and your mates have had 2 alcoholic drinks, honestly, they don't care what you're drinking anyway. I'd consider that 2 alcohol-free drinks first. See if when you are drinking alcohol or at lower strength drinks, see how slowly you can drink it. Really notice it. Calibrate the effects of alcohol. Switch back to an alcohol-free drink if you need to. And remember, if it all goes horribly wrong, it's okay just to go home, to have had enough, to call yourself an Uber and get yourself safely home to a box set and your sofa and some good food and some hydration, and hopefully you'll wake up without feeling the effects of it. But really, in all of this, whatever you're doing in this next period of time as we enter November, just want to really encourage you to approach it as a learning experience. So yeah, remember these 3 things. As you're looking back, remember what worked, then make a plan for what's next and ask for help if you need it. And that's it. I hope you've got a brilliant week coming up. We'll be around in the Club Soda community all this week. As I say, we've got a roundup of October's festival, and it's still free to sign up. If you want to enjoy over 30 hours video content from the festival, that's all still available to you. So please do take a look at that. Otherwise, have a brilliant week, and I will see you soon. All right, cheers.